we have to start with what happened with Max Scherzer getting ejected. So this entire situation was wild, but ultimately Max Scherzer was ejected for a sticky substance from umpire Phil Cuzzi. If you're watching now, you can see the ejection taking place. So let me just walk everyone through what happened here. Because after the second inning, Max Scherzer said he came off the mound and his hand was a little clumpy from the rosin and sweat. So Phil Cuzzi, the umpire, told him to go wash it off. So he did. Washed his hands fully with alcohol. That was all done. He was good to go. Goes back out. Phil says his hand is too sticky and needed a new glove because his glove had too much rosin. So he made him go get a new glove. That check went well. All good. Max goes back out to the mound. After the third inning, Max goes back in, washes his hand with an MLB official present right in front of him. He then applied rosin afterwards, then goes back out there, and Phil Cuzzi says his hand was too sticky, and that's when the argument on the field started taking place, and the ejection was had. Max gets ejected, doesn't get to go out and pitch the fourth inning, and it was quite the animated dust-up out on the field. Ultimately, Max gets ejected, and then later. From that point, Alex, I couldn't wait for post-game to hear.
Yeah.
You knew Max was going to be animated. You knew we weren't going to hear everything we wanted to from umpires because they're never really held accountable in front of the media like pitchers and players are. But it was madness out on the field.
It was madness. And Scherzer even said after the game, I would have to be an absolute idiot to come back out in the fourth inning with anything that wasn't a legal substance on his hand. As you just went through the full timeline, he did everything he was supposed to do with officials watching him. Now, he has the ability to appeal his 10-day suspension because on top of this, he also gets a 10-day suspension. I am just so confused by the umpire's decision right now because everything that was on his hand and his glove is a legal substance, and he was being watched by MLB officials doing exactly what he was told to do. He was following the rules, exactly how he was supposed to follow the rules. Listening, washing his hands, getting extra, using alcohol. Use alcohol to like very much get everything off your hands. What went wrong here? The umpire?
It is, in all fairness, I need to also read and let everyone know what the umpire had to say about this on his side of things, because it seems on the surface from what Max said and what happened that he was using the rosin that's given by the league and the sweat, and that's what happened. But the umpires also came out with a statement saying, as far as stickiness, this was the stickiest that it has been since I've been inspecting hands, which now goes back 3 seasons. Now, this is home plate umpire Dan Bellino, so this is not Phil Cuzzi, who, by the way, Phil Cuzzi, there's only been 3 pitchers to have ever been thrown out from a substance check. Phil Cuzzi was the umpire that did all 3 of those. So read into that what you will. But home plate umpire Dan Bellino had to say, as far as the stickiness, this was the stickiest he's ever seen in the 3 years. It was so sticky that when you touch his hand, our fingers were sticking to his hand. It was far more than we have ever seen before on a pitcher in live action, and we know the repercussions of removing a pitcher from the game. This is clearly something that went too far. It went over the line. Now, so those are the quotes from the umpire.
Like they think the stickiness went over the line or like the situation went over the line?
The stickiness. But that's where you get into a situation where this is objective.
Yeah.
You have an umpire coming up to a player saying, well, this is the stickiest I've ever seen. You're out of here. And you also have Max Scherzer in front of an MLB official putting on exactly what MLB supplies to him while also combining that with his own sweat, which is completely legal to do. So this is where we're in an interesting a sticky situation, if you will, is you knew that one was coming.
Why did that take so long?
Why
did that take so long?
It's completely arbitrary. It's completely objective, and you have an umpire that's over here doing that. Max said after the game, and you're right, he did say, this is an exact quote from Max, when you use sweat and rosin, your hand is sticky. I don't know how I get ejected when I'm in front of an MLB official doing exactly what you want and being deemed that my hand is too sticky when I'm using legal substances. Now you have an interesting spot where then you can't be throwing out a guy for the substance that you're providing for them to use. Obviously, rosin combined with sweat is sticky. Obviously, something is needed to be sticky, and that was the whole point of supplying this to players. But if you're not going to know, then we need something more scientific, if you will, than just a hand check. And Max was asked this after the game, and he ended up loving the idea. Somebody said to him, with all the data available in the game right now, they said your spin rate in today's game was right on par with it has been all year long. With that data available, before an umpire just comes over and checks your hand and says, this is too sticky, you're out of here, perhaps there should be a little more of a scientific dive into this, which is, okay, give us the data. If your spin rate is through the roof, which we've seen before with Spider Tack that was in the league, it was easy. You look at the numbers, you say, well, this isn't normal. There's something being added here. If you look at the numbers and it's right on par with the rest of his starts, guess what? He's probably not doing something outside the realm of what you're supposed to be doing. So Max went as far to say to Phil Cuzzy, when it got animated out on the field, which you could see Max getting very animated, he said to the umpire, I swear on my kids' lives, I'm using sweat and rosin. It is sweat and rosin. He kept screaming that. And Max also stated this, and this is the last, to me, when I think of this whole situation, Max got checked after the second inning. He went in, he washed it off, again gets checked after the third inning, goes back in front of the MLB officials and washes. It does not take a smart person to know you are getting checked when you go back out on the field. You've already been checked multiple times for an umpire that says your hand is too sticky. It is 100% chance you're getting checked when you go back out. Max obviously knew that, and still his hands were too sticky, which to Max's point, he said, I knew I was going to get checked in the fourth. I'd have to be an absolute idiot to try and do anything coming back out there for that inning. We got to fix this. It is a situation that can't be happening where you're getting ejected for what seems to be a substance provided by the league and handed what it has to be, a 10-game suspension for it's an automatic 10-game suspension if you're ejected for a substance use on the field. But man, this is wild. So
there could be an upside to this, right? Because we have one of the top high-profile pitchers now going through a situation where we believe, as we just listed through the entire steps and situations and innings and what Max did to make sure that he was complying with the legal substances, which he was, something needs to change. And when you have a player of his caliber going through this very publicly and vocally, and we're having this conversation, I think the entire baseball world is going to have a conversation about this today, something will change and something needs to change. So sometimes you have to learn hard. I learned really hard. Like, I don't just like someone tell me something. It's like I have to fall on my face and be like, oh yeah, I'm not going to do that again. Something like this will change. Something needs to change. Some sort of adjustment.
There needs to be something more than just, oh, this umpire who, by the way, is the only one to ever throw out a pitcher for a substance check. He deemed the hand too sticky. Now he's out of here. But Alex, I want to, before we move on, I kind of want to play devil's advocate here and just think like, what could it be more? And
what, like sunscreen?
Well, no, it was a day game, so sunscreen is legal to use.
Yeah.
But like, what could have happened here? Could it have possibly been another substance? That's what your mind goes to. And then Max washed his hand and reapplied in front of an MLB official.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't think anything, obviously nothing was done there. Then the one question goes to the only other opportunity for him to have put on something that is not legal, which I do not wholeheartedly believe to be the case, would have been the time between when the MLB official saw him reapply and the time he picked up his glove and ran out on the field.
But it was a new glove, too.
It was a new glove.
Yeah.
And the umpire, the umpire's standing right there. You know you're going to get checked.
Yeah.
There was nothing. I don't understand where the time frame would have come. But the thing is, we do have an MLB official that watched. So that MLB official will be able to say, I presume, in this court case when he goes to argue this, he will be able to say, I was there and saw him reapply. So Max is going to get a 10-game suspension. I don't imagine this getting I don't imagine this getting overturned because the rule that is in place is an automatic 10-game suspension. It's not intent. Intent doesn't matter here. It's if suspended due to a substance check, automatic 10-game suspension. So within the rules, he has to be. We gotta fix it.
I think he should win the appeal.
I think. Well, yeah.
I think that would be like a strong stance.
I agree.
Come on, Major League Baseball. He didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, I agree. But we'll see. We'll see here in the coming days. But how quickly, when MLB announced, how quickly does Max say appeal? When and it's all going to happen very quickly. Max, he was very vocal in this post game that there will be legal matters here that I can't speak to this right now. But wild.
Thanks for watching. If you love flipping bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.